everyone, and welcome back to the Dakota Fundraising News Podcast. You're joined by myself today, Konch. Thought I'd have my co-host Pat back, but he is actually in New York in a bunch of meetings. We're recording this on Tuesday. Our Dakota cocktail event happening tonight. If you're listening today and you were there last night, let us know how it was. Hopefully you had a good chance to network with some industry peers and the Dakota team. If you didn't get a chance to attend last night and you want to meet the Dakota team or have a chance to network with your industry peers, May 19th, Pier 60 in New York City will be hosting the Dakota Way Conference. You'll be able to meet the Dakota team there. We have a list of some amazing speakers that you'll hear from. Mark Bijel from Choreo, Bob Scherer from Greystone Consulting, John Tassone from FFT Wealth Management, Chris Burrows of Cerity Partners. We have Chris Krein of Artisan Partners, Lawrence Calcano from Capital, Valentine Whitaker of Epic Funds, and Eric Sutherland of PIMCO. I think we're trying to work on a few more before the conference, but if you want to learn more about that, you can do so on our website, dakota.com. Looking forward to meeting some of you guys there, hopefully. And then last little house cleaning item before we get into the agenda. Appreciate you always listening in every week, Wednesdays and Fridays. If you could like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, I'd greatly appreciate that. All right, now let's just get into it. It's just me today, as I mentioned, but I'll just roll through a couple of job changes, some pretty interesting ones here that I think some of you listeners will find interesting as well. Starting off with Antonella Carranco. She has joined Cortes Capital, which is the investment office for the Love family, an Oklahoma City-based firm. Carcano has joined as senior investment analyst, and she's coming over from the George Kaiser Family Foundation, which she left in October of last year. We have one update from Down Under. Sydney-based David Wilson has joined the JANA Investment Advisors as senior investment consultant. Prior to this, he spent about 3 years over at Mercer, Australia. And then the last update we have out in Montreal, Etienne Dion has joined IA Global Asset Management, which is the investment arm of the IA Financial Group. He's joined as their Director of Real Estate Investment Funds. So obviously great contact there if you are a real estate manager. Prior to this, he spent about 5 years on the private markets team over at BIM Corp. All right, let's move into our RIA and M&A segment here. Last week, if you tuned into Wednesday's podcast, I believe, with our guest host, Matt Marino, on that call, we called out LPL Financial acquiring Commonwealth for about $2.7 billion. Massive transaction there. They're in the news again, though. They will be taking over support of First Horizon Advisors, broker-dealer, and investment advisory services, bringing about $16 billion in assets to LPL's platform. So another big deal for LPL week over week here. First Horizon, they operate in 12 states and have approximately 110 advisors. This deal is expected to close in the second half of this year. So more to come on that update. Last week, we also talked about Cerity Partners, and I also mentioned Chris Burrows will be at the Dakota Way Conference May 19th. Cerity is in the news again, though, as they have acquired Cook Wealth, a Raleigh, North Carolina-based boutique RIA with about $529 million in assets. This is Cerity's second acquisition this month after their purchase of West Coast Financial, which I believe we called out on the last podcast there. Cook Wealth, they were founded in 1984 by Brian Cook, and they have a team of about 27 team members offering services including wealth management, tax consulting, estate planning, retirement services. And then Stradley, Ronan, Stevens, and Young, they provided legal counsel for Cook Wealth during this transaction. Last one on the RIA side, we'll go to Raymond James here. And first of all, you can find all of this and more in Dakota Marketplace. But they have recruited a team of advisors from RBC. This team specifically is Flatter and Young Wealth Management, where they manage around $828 million over at RBC. Brian Flatter, Michael Flatter, and Chris Young, along with client service associates, Brittany Baird and Jamie Turner. Those are the individuals that make up the Flatter and Young team. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Could be Flater, I'm not too sure. But combined, you're talking a little over 80 years of experience between all of them. So great addition for Raymond James. You can find that update in Dakota Marketplace. Moving over to searches now, we have two updates from two separate smaller Boston-based public pension funds. Firstly, Franklin Regional Retirement System $210 million pension fund out in Boston. They are looking for an investment consultant. So they issued an RFP for an investment consultant that can help provide asset allocation, performance measurement services, in addition to helping the retirement board engage and retain investment management firms. So look out for that update whenever they select one or have a few candidates for one. If we get that information, we'll of course share it. And then the other one, also out of Boston, the $214 million Falmouth retirement system. They've issued an RFP through their consultant Wainwright Investment Counsel for a maritime shipping fund. They're looking to allocate $5 to $10 million to this fund. Specifics from the RFP: fund can either be credit or equity focused and must invest in maritime related assets. So interesting RFP there for anybody that might be relevant to, and of course we'll provide updates whenever available. All right, I have three U.S. pensions that I'll call it some recent investments for, and then we'll go into two fundraising updates, and then I'll wrap it up. But just to list off some recent investments of note, starting out in Virginia, the Virginia retirement system, massive plan there, a little over $117 million in assets. They use Aon, Townsend on the real estate side, and Axie on the private equity side. They've allocated to a number of managers here, so I'll just list them off. $250 million to the Hamilton Lane VA real estate SMA, about $151 million US to the CVC Strategic Opportunities Fund 3, about $225 million to Bain Capital 14, about $275 million to Ares Special Opportunities Fund 3, and then about $200 million to the HPS Asset Value 3 Fund, that's private credit. This is coming out of their April 2nd meeting. As far as consultants goes, for the Rhode Island State Pension, you have NEPC as their general, Makita on the real estate side, and then Cliffwater as their private equity consultant. They did allocate close to $31 million to the Wraith Real Estate Fund 4, obviously a real estate strategy there. That information comes from their March 26th meeting. And then lastly here, a little bit of a smaller plan in comparison, $2.1 billion City of Baltimore Employees Retirement System. Their consultants, they use Marquette on the general side and then Makita for private equity. They have approved a motion to allocate approximately $15 million to each of Turning Rock and TPG Angelo Gordon as private debt managers. And then I'll close the podcast here with two fundraising updates, one from Andros Capital Partners and one from Trive Capital, both with some pretty significant fund closes. But first of all, Andros Capital Partners, they have closed their third flagship fund, Andros Energy Capital 3, at its hard cap of $1 billion. The fund has exceeded its predecessor, Energy Capital Fund 2. That fund closed in early 2023 with $750 million. Fund 3 is going to be targeting private equity investments, credit opportunities, and direct asset level investments across the energy value chain. Typically, Andros is looking to allocate between $100 to $500 million for each transaction. They were founded in 2020 and have made over $2 billion of combined equity commitments, gaining exposure to most major U.S. basins. And then going over to Trive Capital, they have closed Fund 5, oversubscribing that fund at $2.7 billion. So massive fundraise for the Dallas-based firm. The $2.7 billion fundraise does exceed its predecessor fund, which closed in April of 2022 with about $2 billion for that fund. Investors for Fund 5 include LA Fire and Police, Florida State Board, both of those we called on Dakota Marketplace, commitments of $125 million and $100 million respectively to them. That was also open to subscriptions for over a year, which started back in June of 2023, raising $1.61 billion from 130 investors during that time period. The fund's going to be targeting middle market companies across various sectors, utilizing a flexible situation-specific investment approach. And then just to keep everyone in the loop here, Campbell Lutyens manages the fund's promotion, and then Ropes & Gray, they help to provide legal counsel for that fundraise. And yeah, that is going to wrap it up. I'll close out with our slate of events coming up here. If you're a consistent listener to the podcast, you should know the events coming up. But as I mentioned, May 19th, Dakota Way Conference, don't miss out. April 15th, which is a week away, is the early registration deadline. So check us out at dakota.com for more information on that, or you can email your Dakota rep directly. Other events, though, Soho House Chicago on April 22nd. We'll be at Union New America in Tampa on April 29th. Our rescheduled LA event at the Beverly Hills Hotel will be May 6th. May 21st, you'll find myself and a number of other Dakota teammates at the Union League of Philadelphia. And then 2 days before that, Dakota Way Conference, as I mentioned. June 3rd, you can meet our founder, Guy, our head of international, James Goodman, and our head of product, Pat Tai, in Berlin at the Bless Restaurant. Again, that's June 3rd. And then June 11th, we'll be at the Ham Yard Hotel. And then one more here, almost missed it, back in Chicago on June 24th at Morgan's and Fulton. So if you miss us, April 22nd at Soho House Chicago, you can register for the June 24th event. So we'll be there. I think we're trying to be in Chicago a little bit more frequently this year as well. But great, that's going to wrap it up. You guys are probably sick and tired of hearing my voice. Hopefully Pat is back with us on Thursday or Friday, I guess. But until then, talk to you guys soon. Appreciate everyone.
This episode is brought to you by Dakota Marketplace. Are you tired of constantly jumping between multiple databases and channels to find the right investment opportunities? Introducing Dakota Marketplace, the comprehensive institutional and intermediary database built by fundraisers for fundraisers. With Dakota Marketplace, you'll have access to all channels and asset classes in one place, saving you time and streamlining your fundraising process. Say goodbye to the frustration of searching through multiple databases, websites, Form ADVs, and say hello to a seamless and efficient fundraising experience. Sign up now and see the difference Dakota Marketplace can make for you. Visit dakota.com/Dakota-Marketplace today.